You're about to enter a different realm of reality. A realm where the astonishing meets the fantastic. A realm of mystery, of possibility, of the unknown and unimaginable. You're entering a realm where the impossible becomes possible. So prepare yourself as you enter the realm of super awesome science.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of the Super Awesome Science Show. Today is basically going to be all about getting to know some of the guys that are going to be on the panel. Some of these guys are going to be regulars on the show. Some of them are going to come and go whenever they can. And in fact, today we've got a few people who are going to be showing up as the show progresses. We may have to adjust the time if we're going to get all these co-hosts together. I don't know, but anyways, right now we've got two of our panelists here with us, and hopefully the rest of them, or at least some of them, will show up as we're chatting and they get home from work or whatever they're doing. So first up, let's bring in Rick. And I've been clever here, Rick. I have a.
Not clever.
Rick is a dynamic graphic artist at LeftCoast Graphics. He's the Bigfoot guy. Living in the Pacific Northwest, he has an intimate knowledge of the elusive creature. He might even be a Bigfoot himself. How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing very good. Thanks, John. Thanks for having me. My name is Rick, and I'm a Bigfootaholic. Never seen a Bigfoot, but I want to believe. So I think it's more than likely.
I think they're out there too. I think Bigfoot are out there. Yeah. Next up, we've got Lack Savrak. Lack at Lack Savrak 2203 is an Alaskan bushman and outdoorsman. He has had run-ins with Sasquatch and other cryptids of the north. In fact, the abominable snowman is in his spare room searching for job postings right now.
That's right. That's absolutely correct. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Super John, the science guy. This is great. Nice to see you. And you too, Rick. Nice to see you.
Welcome, Lack.
Yeah, thank you.
Any relation to the abominable snowman?
Yeah. Well, I dated his sister for a while. But even though we're still brothers, you know how that goes.
There you go. Let's say hello to the chat while we're doing this. Maybe Sam was going to be here, but I don't know what happened to him. He messaged me a half hour ago saying, I'm all ready. This is going to be awesome. And now something might have happened with his connection. I don't know. And then hopefully in a little while, we're going to have Cy, Brett, and Josh joining us also.
Awesome. Good group.
So it'll compound itself as it goes on, I hope. So let's say hello to some of the people in the chat. Hey, John, I've been looking forward to this all day.
What's up, Mr. B?
Hey there, Rick. Gerard, how you doing?
Hey, Gerard.
Gary's Grail.
Gary. Awesome intro.
How much you paying Gary for the intro talk now?
Yeah.
Yes, that is something. Gary did that little intro that we saw. He helped with the voiceover for it. Yeah. So big thanks to Gary at Gary's Grails there. Let's see, Mr. B. Dragon Buddy's here. Hey, DB, what's up?
What's going on, Dragon
Buddy? Buddy.
Ricardo.
Ow! Good to see you, my friend.
Geek Strong. I'm a bit scared. Is Rick going to tell the story of when he found Bigfoot in his beard?
That's right.
Yeah.
What's going on, Dean? Good to see you, brother.
Might still be there.
Don't be scared.
Palps is here. Hello, Palpatine.
Oh, all hail the Emperor.
Do it.
Do it.
I believe that Bigfoot is searching for Lack.
He is.
The other way around, right?
That's the new TV show coming on Discovery Canada.
That's right.
Hunting Lack.
Yeah.
With Bigfoot.
What's up, Bazzer? Good to see you.
Yeah, Baz is here. Good to see you. Here's Earth Mom. Earth Mom.
Hey, Earth Mom.
Hello, Earth Mom.
Check this out, Earth Mom.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
There it is. The prestigious area right there.
Chip is here.
Hey, Chip, sir.
What's up, Chip? He knows.
Delvian, how you doing? Evening
Hello.
all. I want to believe.
Believe it. Believe it.
Let me go all the way down. Looks like I think that's everybody that we got right now. Hopefully more will show up as we're chatting.
Well, welcome.
So I think since we've got both you Bigfoot guys here, let's start with some Bigfoot. How's that sound?
Absolutely.
What did I?
Well, you're in charge. This is your hay wagon. You drive it.
What did I do with my screen here? I just messed something up. I don't know what I did.
We got some bets going on in the chat there, Lack.
Oh yeah, you'll have to tell. I can't see the chat, so you let me know.
Lack versus Sasquatch. My money's on Lack by
That's
Gary.
right.
Oh yeah, Gary, Lack versus Sasquatch. My money's on Lack. Yeah.
Smart
Welcome,
man.
JT.
That's funny. So here we go. Watch this. Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, other cryptids. Are they long lost, forgotten animals from the past? Creatures from another parallel Earth? Things released from crashed alien ships? Or beings that have been here all along that science has yet to recognize? So our first topic of the day is Bigfoot, since I've got both of my Bigfoot and cryptid guys here.
Yeah, man. Bigfoot enthusiasts.
Tell us a story. Has there been anything in either of your lives that made you think that you might have seen evidence for Bigfoot, or actually think you saw a Bigfoot itself?
Oh, absolutely. You want to go first, Rick, or what?
My story is short and sweet, but I've never seen anything I thought was a Bigfoot or thought could have been a Bigfoot in any camping trips or outdoors anywhere in the Great White North here. But I do have an incident on a camping trip late at night, pulled over on a highway somewhere in the Oregon coastline, and me and a girlfriend pitched a tent. Got in the tent. It's probably 1 o'clock in the morning, 12 at night. Pitch black. There's no city lights. We're not near any light pollution, anything like that. Just moonlight, if anything. Pitched a tent really close to a cliff, which we didn't know until the morning. But during that night, we, might have partaken in some intoxicating substances. And several hours into the morning, substances or not, there was something, or we don't think it was someone because there's no other people near us, but was walking around the tent and might have even been scratching and poking at her tent. So we just assume it was a bear because the poking of the tent was several feet off the ground, like the top part of the tent. And that happened whether we were slightly intoxicated or not. It did happen. Neither of us got out of the tent to look and see what it was. It was not going to happen. Being intoxicated doesn't usually make you that kind of brave to maybe say, hey, bear, or hey, Bigfoot, or whatever it could be, right? Lost man in the woods, which would be the best scenario, but yeah.
No, I think that might be the scariest of the three.
It definitely, yeah, sorry, the worst scenario. Definitely wasn't that. But that's my only story to do anything with the Sam Squanch, as we like to call them in Canada.
Wow. Did you look for in the morning? Did you look for tracks and see if you could?
We did, but the first thing we noticed in the morning was we were like 9 inches from like a 500-foot cliff to the ocean, like to death.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of made us. We left pretty quick, but it wasn't like beach sand or we weren't near the water. We were up on a highway on the top of a cliff, so it was just twigs and grass and branches and rocks, and so it was very hard for us to see anything that was.
Well, at least you looked.
Evidence.
At least you looked.
But yeah, we got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah.
Which we probably didn't sleep. Put it that way. So as soon as it started getting light out, we're like, okay, let's go. Let's get out of here.
God, did we lose Lack?
Oh, Sasquatch cut his power.
Yeah, He's like, I want that job.
Maybe he's just got to plug in his. There he goes.
Um,
I don't. So that's my only story to do with what I would say resembles a possibility of a large animal. There he is.
Gotcha.
Sorry about that. I just have when I get a phone call, it boots me off. So
it's a Sasquatch ambush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say hi to G-Force. Hello to JT. Those guys have shown up.
What's up, G?
Yeah, what's up, G-Force? JT.
A few of the guys in the chat seems to have come nose to nose with a Bigfoot or a bear, at least.
Yeah.
You didn't sleep up all night playing cards.
Yeah, we were playing cards.
Yeah.
That's right.
And Dino was insulting you earlier.
Well, you mean me, right?
Yeah.
I'm surprised he hasn't fallen asleep yet, to be honest.
Yeah.
He said, I already know Rick is lying because he never.
Never had a...
Yeah. Well, she didn't make it back that trip.
Oh, is that it?
Oh.
No, it was a good trip. It was a big, long trip. Just to add another part of that story, it was my fairly new Volkswagen GTI. This is 1994, so it was a 1994 GTI. This is when I was on this nice long road trip. Probably about 3 weeks. We were driving around the States, and got home, and literally like an hour later went out to go get smokes or go get milk or go get something in the store, and my fan belt broke. Like if that broke in some of the remote area we were in, like, because when we were in Oregon, we stayed there mostly because we were away from stuff. We were just enjoying camping. And, like, we found another city called Vancouver in Oregon. Like, there's what is this? And it had a Toys R Us. So it was like, whoa, what's going on? But we were in very remote areas, and if my card broke, we didn't have cell phones in 1994. Like, they existed, but not everyone had them. And we didn't see other cars. Like, in any of the places we camped, there wasn't other people. Like, maybe once or twice during the day, like a car or truck, you pass another vehicle or something, right? But yeah, the day we got back, my car broke down, and we would have been effed if that happened in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it's crazy. Hope you
Dragon Buddy says the pictures of the white Bigfoot were taken about 45 minutes from his house.
Oh yeah, white Bigfoot.
Yeah, always get a spare.
That's we call the white Bigfoot we call him Ghost Man, but obviously most people call him the Yeti or the Abominable Snowman.
And then Dino says he hit a Bigfoot with his car and they took it home, named him Harry.
Oh yeah.
But since there's,
that.
when we think of the Squatch and the Bigfoot, and we think that there's like, people always compare them to humans because they're walking on 2 feet and they have 2 feet that are like humans, and even some of the facial features. Would you think that a Bigfoot, their hair would change color, much like in humans as we get elderly?
It's possible,
hair, or it goes gray or white.
Yeah,
but I don't know any animals.
I think it's
mammals in general where that happens to. Like
a dog. No, we've had dogs that go gray. I've had dogs that.
Yeah, there are a lot of mammals that tend to change. They may not go full gray, but you can definitely. There's a lot of animals that you can tell.
So when we hear of like a white we hear all the colors. People say reddish brown or black. A lot of the kind of photos we see, it tends to be black, or if they're real photos or whatever. But then you also hear the stories of it was gray, it was white, and I tend to
also different
that with a Yeti or the Abominable Snowman, like kind of like polar bears are white for their reason.
Also, regionally, if you look at even like in Alaska, if you look at moose who live in the swamps versus moose that live at higher elevations, they have different colors.
They do, okay.
And then like a white-tailed deer, which is seen almost everywhere in the United States except maybe Alaska. They change colors regionally too. They might be a more stone color out in the northwest or in the Midwest. And then you get down in the south of America, they tend to be more dark or reddish. You know, depending on, they live in like an oak forest or a pine forest, and so yeah, the different. The way I was raised, Bigfoot, which we call Bushman, and Ghost Man, which is the white one, they are different. Like they don't change colors, and they are. I was raised by my Inupiat Eskimo grandfather and my Athabascan Indian grandmother in the woods, and it's like it's a kind of like from birth, you know, like it's a deep seated knowledge that these things are true things, and they, you know, what we believe, and I think most indigenous tribes, you know, they're more of like an interdimensional being, right? And that's one of the reasons why, like, you'll never shoot one, you know, and you'll never catch one because they're, you know, they're an interdimensional, like a spirit almost. Not that they're not manifested in reality. You know, they can sure grab you or do whatever. But the Bushman and the Ghost Man, they're like the yin and yang of the universe, right? They're both protectors of the wilderness. And the big difference between them is Bushman, Bigfoot, he can read a human being's soul, and if you're a good person and you're one with the earth and you don't, you know, cut down all the trees and throw your garbage everywhere and all that kind of stuff, he will help you in the wilderness. You know, he will keep you from danger. While Ghost Man, the abominable snowman, which of course even in Tibet and stuff, right? Like there's no sweet stories of the Yeti, you know, where he goes and like finds a lost person or whatever. Those are all Bigfoot stories. But the Ghost Man, he hates us. He does not like humans. And it doesn't matter if you're good or bad or if you are one with the environment and everything.
He's the one standing on the cliff throwing rocks down at you.
Yeah, he's angry at all of us just because we are here, you know. And certainly there's, you know, he has a bad experience with humans and he blames all of us for that. But
well,
Bushman...
Give us one second here. We're going to add Brett to the stream.
Oh, collecting Brett, with Cool.
What's up?
Good to see you, Brett. And I have a little intro thing for Brett here. Brett is lost in the ancient past, bringing the paranormal and mysterious to any time in history on his podcast at Cool to Know. In fact, he may not even know what time in history it is right now. He's that lost.
That's right.
I'm traveling.
I got lost in a snowstorm on the way home today.
So, Lack, would the Yeti be the equivalent to like the Clint Eastwood of Bigfoot's, like get off my lawn, kind of a little grumpier?
In reference to that one movie, yeah, pretty much.
And are there with the Aboriginal stories or the Native stories, which a lot of all belief or knowledge of any kind of Bigfoot type creature all dwells from like stories of, you know, people's ancestors from hundreds and hundreds of years gone by, including like, you know, in Canada and North America, you know, Native Indian people, right? So it goes back. And when I think about those kind of stories and what we all kind of know is similar stuff is, especially with the Aboriginals, like they talk about, you know, all the spirits of the raven and the whale and the wolf and the bear and the owl, and it just mixed in with those existing animals that are not extinct is like the Bushman, the Bigfoot, the big hairy 10-foot tall creatures that with, you know, within their artwork and their stories and stuff. So that's like a big piece of the pie for me because, you know, I grew up in Canada. I've had lots of, you know, Native classmates, and, you know, it wasn't something that was taught in our classes, but we did get some history, you know, Western civilization in general, which included, you know, some of that history. But it's interesting because I can't think of any other beast or creature that they've ever mentioned or or draw or have history of that's a non-existent animal.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the anomaly, which is Bigfoot or Bushman or Ghostman or the Yeti, like it's worldwide. I mean,
Yeah.
you can find that painted on the side of a cave everywhere in the world.
Yep.
And stories. You can trace oral heritage, oral tradition as far back as you possibly can, but it is also backed up by more modern stories, right? Like there's been plenty of, even when the expansion of North America, like there was the great Bigfoot wars of different tribes in the 1840s and the 1860s.
Man, wouldn't that be a great TV series?
Man, wouldn't it?
The
Bigfoot wars, the Bigfoot wars of the 1700s, or whatever.
Yeah, but it transcends all of human history. And
I'm going to trademark that, just so everyone knows. Trademark Bigfoot wars.
Yeah. JT got duped. He says, "I thought we were going to talk about the Bigfoot the truck." I want to say hi to Lady Steph, to Jonathan. Who else just showed up here? We had
hey, Steph.
Lady Steph, Jonathan,
Mr. Lobot, sir.
Yeah, Lobot. Good to see Lobot.
Good to see you, brother.
Hey, Sam
John
is
has
here.
more channels.
Hi, guys. Sorry, my phone's acting up. I'm here.
How's it going, man?
What's up?
Sam?
Hi.
So, Sam, everybody, this is Sam. Sam, this is Lack, King of the Wild Frontier. Rick at LeftCoast Graphics, and Brett right below
Sam?
me at Collecting with Cool.
What's up?
Collecting with Cool. All right.
Everybody out here, Sam is a ghost hunter. Where he grew up, it was so haunted that the entire town is at risk of imploding in on itself like the house in Poltergeist.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
In fact, we're not even sure if Sam is Sam or if he's that thing that was in the tequila.
What? Hi, everybody. Sorry I'm late. My phone acted up. I don't know what happened, but I'm here now.
Welcome.
All right.
Ricardo's out there. What's up, Ricardo?
Right now, we're talking about Bigfoot and other cryptids. So one of the guys in the chat brought up like the idea that the reason that all these countries have things related to Bigfoot is they were like, do you think they started over there in the Himalayas in that area, and then they sort of migrated along and came over on those land bridges and things, and the species sort of differentiated itself as it got separated from others. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
when the continents sort of moved and became each little section. That's why we have like a Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest, and maybe some other areas have a smaller one that they call like the skunk ape down here in Florida. Mm-hmm. And I know there's some in the Appalachian Mountains, and they all might be slightly different, but variations of the same sort of ancestor. And then you got like the Yeti, and you've got like the orang pendek and the Yowie in Australia. You know what I mean? There's all these different giant ape things that seem to be humanoid, more human than ape, almost.
Could it be bestiality too? I mean, there's a good chance of that, right?
Well, anything's possible.
But what animal?
That's what I'm saying.
What animal is are people?
I've always thought that there was something to like South America coming up to North America, like some type of ape that was, coming down from Neanderthal times and things like that. And they just like any other species, they eventually went extinct, and those were the last few that we've had the sightings of and things like that.
So you think they're all gone right now?
Because it's weird to think too, because apes, you would think warm weather, right? So it's hard to think up in Canada there'd be these giant ape men, but I think they could have adapted and survived.
Well, there are those there are monkeys in some of the Asian countries that live in the snow.
The Arctic snow monkeys and stuff.
Sure. So I mean, it's not like it's unheard of for something in the ape or monkey species to develop a way to live in the snow. I
mean, if Lack can survive in Florida coming down from Alaska.
You never know.
The extreme. We all know the term like Gigantopithecus, like that kind of ancient, ape creature kind of thing. See, I don't think that is exactly what Like that's a real thing. Like that's not a fairy tale or lore. It's a real, big gorilla type of creature, prehistoric creature. I don't think that's what a Bigfoot is, but like Buddy's saying there, like not the bestiality, but maybe it did, get it on with another kind of
that's
creature.
what I'm saying. Yeah,
and then you end up with what we see
beast on beast,
the cone-headed looking kind of Bigfoot, right?
Beast on beast action
for sure. Like we know that all the different dogs, canines, like wolves or chihuahuas, like
for sure,
they could all get it on somehow because they're similar species. So I think there's definitely more than one type of Bigfoot. Like when you hear like the swamp, the ones in the swamp, you don't hear it being as broad-shouldered and
no, it seems to be more
like we kind of hear of in the North Pacific Northwest.
But is it there? Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's a region is the Northwest, usually where they say the sightings of this is the Northwest, the rainy area, right?
Yeah.
So I mean,
somebody caught a recording on a trail cam, and I have it right here.
Yep.
Right there.
I want to
trail tape recorder.
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about this. JT brings up something good, and then I want to get to your sightings, Lack. After this, it says, "What does the panel think of the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film? Personally, I think it's a person wearing a costume." Now, I actually just watched a video on this. There's some I can't remember the guy. I should have wrote down the guy's name, but there is somebody right now who is reconstructing the Patterson-Gimlin film, and they showed 3 frames from it in a YouTube video. There's going to be an upcoming documentary that should be released within the next couple months that will showcase the entire film. What they're doing is they got the original film, the actual film that he filmed, the actual reel, the negatives. Right, and what they're doing is they're actually scanning every negative frame by frame and enhancing it with today's technology, stabilizing the image so there's no more shakiness. And they're looking at it and they're going to show us the whole film as in this reconstructed way. And
he's using AI is what a lot of it is. Like
he didn't mention that in his video, but if you say so.
Yeah,
but
I've seen the same video.
Yeah. But what got me was what I thought was fascinating was he has Hollywood experts talk about it in his YouTube video, and he interviews them and says, now, if you look at the proportions of the length of the arm, what would it take to create that? Because once you stabilize the image and put it in the middle, even without any enhancements, you can see that the arm is longer than the legs. So the legs are short and the arms are long, and the arms go down to the knees. When a normal human being walks, your don't hit your knees.
Yeah, the hand is down by the knees. Even you can clearly see.
So they basically said the proportions are wrong for a human. But they said, if you turned that into a costume, what would you have to do? And they said they would make arm extensions. Yeah. But the arm extensions would make the forearm, this part, longer because you're going to be hanging on to a hand that would then be there. So this would be out of proportion. The elbow wouldn't bend in the right spot. It would bend too far up on the animal. And when you look at where the arm bends, when this Sasquatch in the film bends his arm, it bends in the perfect natural position. Mm-hmm. So therefore, the Hollywood experts said this is not a costume. There's no way that they could have designed it with a correct arm bend and made it where the arm is longer than the legs and where the arm swings by the knees in that period of time. They don't. The technology just.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah, of course not.
So these guys think it's real, and the documentary's coming out. You can watch it and judge for yourself. Yeah. I'm not saying one way or the other, but I personally am now leaning towards that is real, but I'm waiting for my final judgment to watch the actual documentary and see how it comes out. But
I hope it is real. I hope it is real.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
Yeah, I want to believe for sure.
I saw that same video. I think the guy said, and I can't remember what group of Hollywood costume designers he went through, but I think their quote was, well, if these two guys invented this costume, they're 30 years ahead of the lead. Hollywood stuff.
Yeah, they were geniuses.
What year did that come out, did you say, John?
1967.
Before I was
Would you
born.
have had the forethought back then to do all of that with the
And the
arms
other thing
all of
is,
that? I don't think
it's
so.
a female.
I don't either. I don't think so either.
Yeah, the fact that it has like
Yeah.
bazongas, you know.
The other thing is, it's a female
Elbows.
Sasquatch, and it's like if you were designing a costume, why would you make it female?
Exactly.
And they didn't think that way then. Right. With the
less
masculinity and everything.
scary
Of course they
because
wouldn't.
it's female, right? And my thing on that film, Patterson Gimlin film, is it was one of the first. Like, we wouldn't be here even just having it as a topic if that film didn't exist, if it's real or not. I actually think that there's a possibility that it's a man-made costume and fake and all that, and kind of like we see done on TikTok every day now. But I think the fact that why I think it's not fake is because I just don't think, like Lax said, I don't think they had the skills to make such a quality costume where you see the muscles bulge a little bit. And this is even on the original film, not stabilized and just not enhanced in Photoshop. You can still see like biceps and thigh muscles.
First comment on this video, guy in a gorilla suit. But when they kind of peer back, how many guys do you know that are over 7 feet tall that want to put on a suit and run around the world?
There's lots of freaks out there. Like
there's also, if you look even modern, like somebody's talking about the Jack Links, the Jack Links.
Yeah.
That's a modern, right? That's a modern. How long has that guy been around? 15.
And he had a TV
years?
show too, so
Or Harry and Henderson, or
the '67 film, even before it was stabilized, because there's been plenty of people who zoomed in on it and stuff. But if you look at the eyes, there's one section where it turns and looks, and it's looking right at the camera, and you can see that the eyes are not sunken in.
Yeah, they are.
Where even on modern day, right? Even on like modern day Star Wars shows we watch, you can plainly see when people's eyes are sunken into a mask, and you can say, "Oh, that's a mask," right?
Well,
and that's
Chewbacca would be the one good example I can bring because it comes from the late 70s. He's not CGI. He's Peter Mayhew, a man in a costume, and one of my favorite things, like Chewbacca, believe it or not, he is my favorite character in all of Star Wars, and that's because he's a real person. Like, it's not his eyes are not hidden, and you can see a lot from someone's eyes, right? Like you're saying, that one frame you can kind of see the eyes looking back at the camera, and that's a black and white film camera from before Star Wars and stuff. So when I compare like Chewbacca, and then I meet the real actor and see his eyes, it brings weird goosebumps, and because it's the same guy who's dressed as this creature, and it kind of makes Chewbacca kind of real to me, not like in the same way that Bigfoot or we're talking about that, but I mean, as a character, you can compare him to all the other characters, that wear costumes, where Wicket and C-3PO and Boba Fett and all these other, Darth Vader, all these other actors wore costumes, and we still kind of honor them and get their autographs and all this kind of stuff. But he's one where like you literally you see his eyeballs. And
George Lucas did very well with that. Yeah.
So I think it'd be very hard to fake that in the 60s. Like Planet of the Apes was as good as it got back then, right?
Even in Star Wars, right? Like there are still scenes, like especially in Empire Strikes Back, where you can see the disconnect between Peter Mayhew's eye and the costume he's wearing. And when he moves, or like when Chewbacca throws the stormtrooper down the hole, you don't see any muscles, right? You don't see anything move.
You're right.
In the 67 film. So like,
it's a walking carpet.
It's definitely if that is a costume in that 67 Bigfoot film, like the guy on that documentary said, that's 40 years ahead of the greatest costume designer of all time.
And what are they basing their design on? If it was fake, what drawings or artwork or are they getting the inspiration from? To like, okay, his arms have to be longer than his knees, and and he has boobs, or
we gotta put breasts on them. We gotta make the muscles. We gotta make the muscles move. So we gotta put airbags in there to make the muscles move. Yeah.
Yeah. How would you do that if it wasn't?
This is the other thing that I want to bring up. So JT has a good point.
Yeah, it says if you watch a Patterson Gilmy footage, yeah,
there's a horizontal fold line on the top of the right thigh. Muscles go vertical, not fold. And what's interesting is that what most of you guys have, what most of us, myself and everybody here on the panel included, what most of us have watched is a third, fourth, fifth, or sixth generation.
There's a 60 frame per second HD version right now
of the film. So what happened? They showed it in the YouTube video I was looking at. They were like, "Here's a first generation clip. We've taken it right from the negative and reprocessed to the negative." So it's a first generation clip, and you can see how clear it is. It's not fuzzy at all. There's no fuzziness to it at all. And that's before they enhanced it even. It's perfectly crisp and perfectly clear. You can see individual hairs. You can even see eyelashes on the thing, like hairs and stuff.
That's why.
And he goes, and then they said, here's the same clip from what you normally see after it's been put on VHS and copied, and a copy of that copy's made, and it's all fuzzy and crazy looking, and you start seeing those, what he's saying are folds appear in the fuzzy copy. So it's still going to be very interesting to see the first generation clip enhanced and get a take on this when that documentary comes out,
Yeah, man.
That's why I brought up the AI kind of thing aspect of that a little bit, John, because I did watch that video very recently in the past 3 or 4 days, and they show like the two pictures, one of his head and then another one that's like a little more of a body shot. That's like but those are edited and enhanced with AI. So if there's something that's missing and they think it's
gonna
like
fill it in
another hair, it'll just fill it in with another hair, right? So what Brett's talking
I don't
about
think they should do that. I don't think they
No, I don't either, but that's welcome to 2025, John.
I think to address Mr. B's point, he was saying, we have these game cameras, these trail cams. Why wouldn't we see one now? But I think maybe they're gone. It's like just talking about the existence and
I have to,
if it exists. If it's
let me answer you on that one real quick, Brett. So like I grew up hunting.
It's not my comment. It's Mr. B.
No, but
I
think
I believe Mr. B.
I think one of the reports to that though, as somebody who has spent 40 years hunting all across the United States, I was a big game guide in Montana and Iowa and Louisiana, and the one thing about modern people, humans, is nobody is working that hard to hunt, right? So like these game trail cameras and stuff, like the vast majority of people hunting, especially in the lower 48, the majority of the lower 48, these guys are driving a four-wheeler down a log and parking, and then they're walking 100 yards to a food plot. Right? These guys are not putting trail cameras in the middle.
Hell no.
What are they doing in the upper 3 states?
Well, like in the backcountry of Montana, when I used to be an elk guide, right? Like there's we did everything on horseback, and so.
Oh yeah.
You were an elk guide? Oh, cool.
You can get 50 miles in the backcountry where you cannot where you can't find a cigarette butt and you can't find a plastic water bottle.
Yeah, man, right? Awesome.
And but the majority of people who are using trail cameras, who we would say, oh, these people have trail cameras, like they're not doing that, man. They're hunting from a heated box up in a tree, looking over a bag of corn that they put out yesterday, and it's just it's not like Lewis and Clark going across the country and going into these undiscovered places that no one sets foot in. And like even here, like I'm in Northwest Florida now, and there's very few places that are like wild in a sense, right?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing, if you get 100 yards off the riverbank, you will not see a sign of a person, right? Mm-hmm. Because no one is doing that. Like no one is doing that extra bit nobody's going that extra mile to see what's on the other side of the ridge or see what's around the next corner, right? As soon as it gets difficult, or as soon as they think, oh, I'm cold, or I sure would like to smoke a cigarette that I left in the boat.
Here. Yeah.
Right. There's not it would take a unique individual with a lot of time and support to be able to go out into these places that are wild enough to set up cameras that could possibly.
Yeah, man.
And really, it's not
it captures
plus it actually is. It's not like nobody's ever caught one on a trail cam, because I know of 3 or 4 videos of Sasquatch or something that looks like an ape instead of a bear caught on a trail cam, because they had one where
hundreds.
They had one where something upright walked right in front of the camera, but the camera is showing like this much space, so when it walks in front, like 4 feet in front of the camera, it's only there for like 3 frames, so you can't really. And it's not like you've got a full video of it, like walking around going, "Hey, hello, darling, hello, my
look at the
I pulled that footage up for you, John.
Look at the colossal squid and the giant squid, right? Like that, for years, for generations, that was a cryptid being, like the sperm whale and the giant squid, and it wasn't only till recently did someone get a good enough video where they said, holy shit, look, there it is. And they said, look at his eyeball, and we can measure it, and then we can decide, okay, well, his eyeball is 13 inches across, so that would mean that the squid is 56 feet or whatever, and like
right.
That's a creature that we've kind of known has existed, but how long has it been since that we could not get any footage of it? So
another example too is like how animals will migrate during different seasons, and we just had wolves right here by the Michigan state line, so they're usually not here.
They're moving. Game will tell you. There's no wolves here.
Right.
Yeah, I've dealt with that quite a bit in different places.
Well, they're intelligent animals.
Oh, that's the stabilized one. Yeah. And
this is just a 60 frames per second HD. But
let's see. Okay, what is he doing? A moonwalk? What's going on there?
No, it's just backing it up.
It's going in.
It's just backing it up so you get both angles. And then somebody was saying something about the. I'll blow it up here in a second.
Let me see.
Right there. Let me see if I can blow it up.
The thing that surprises me about this footage more than anything is that the animal is extremely black colored. Yeah, and that that's the only.
And it also sees that it's recognized by something, right? I mean, it's not looking.
It just kind of hears the sounds.
Oh,
it
knows.
Blow it up more.
It knows it's being watched.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can. That is a. Let me see. And it's got like a bear.
You can see it's a female. You can see it's a female.
Yeah,
it's weird.
There's a lot going on there that I just couldn't write off as completely fake. There's
it'll be
interesting. You guys entertained. What is this? What does this say? Any of you guys entertained that Bigfoot is what? What did that say?
Interdimensional,
like from another dimension. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
My
I don't want to go that far. I think he's
not quite sure either.
The native culture in Alaska, whether you're Inupiaq or Yupik or Athabascan Indian, that is part of the idea is that it is, for lack of a better term, an interdimensional being. It has spiritual abilities that we can't fathom, and
I kind of agree with that too. I think there's reasons why we can't go see one right now.
Just
that's an option makes it like what my biggest question is, how do the Sasquatch fit in all those drones?
There you go, right? Yeah.
But I just found he's actually Sasquatch is actually live on YouTube right now.
Bigfoot's thick.
We'll bring this down, and what do we got here? Let's see. Remove, add to stage. Oh, there you go. Yeah,
there he is. He's live right now on YouTube.
I think the other thing.
requests.
I don't think that we can hang the idea. Like, we can't hang the idea of whether Bigfoot is real or not on that one set of footage, right?
No.
So I think even if it's proven, oh, these guys was wearing a suit and it's fake, that still doesn't mean that there isn't a Bigfoot of some kind, whatever.
Of course,
and
there
I've
was
always said
stories
this, right?
from the white man before that movie, right? Before that film was taken, there was stories, like even in Canadian newspapers back in the 1940s or 1950s, there was stories of even, like, not going to say the people that discovered America and stuff, but I mean, there's written stories that they've seen Bigfoot type creatures, big hairy 10-foot tall beasts walking on 2 feet before that movie was made. So if it was fake, they at least had something. They had something to go from. But what I don't get is how they designed it, like how they got that kind of detail. So I don't think it's fake, just because of that and the boobs.
Yeah,
boobs
it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting either way to see it, because you can see both points. You can clear. There are arguments for it being fake. There are arguments for being good. And like Dino said, the very people. There are people who claim to have worked on it, like Patterson and Gimlin.
3 different people.
Both Patterson and Gimlin went to their deathbed saying it was real. But there are other people who claim to have worked on it that came out of the woodwork and said that I was the guy in the costume, and he claims it was fake. But so that's what Dino's referring to here, is that
and
a guy came
people
out
saying the limo driver shot Kennedy. I mean, we can go back and forth, but it's like,
I was going to say,
it looks very. I don't know. I want to believe so bad that I want to say it's real.
But,
and I want to say too. I want to say too.
Sightings.
I want to say too, John, that John, if I wanted to be hidden, if this being has any kind of intelligent mind, if I wanted to be hidden, I could be hidden, and I could just pop up here and there. I mean, why couldn't I? You telling me?
If you let a gorilla loose in the forest, like the very dense, like way out forest, you might not find it for a while. I'm not saying
that's what I'm saying. If it wants to be hidden, it'll be hidden. I mean, I can
once
be
it knows what to fear.
Right.
Once it figures out what to fear, it ain't coming
out. Fear nothing.
Well, that's even been in in a lot of our recent like our history, like even extinct animals, right? The Barbary lion and the great Aku and all those things. Like a lot of them were determined, and the Steller sea cow, right? Like they were determined extinct and still had sightings up to 10, 15 years later.
Yeah.
So it's not. I agree with what you're saying, Sam. It's definitely animals are much smarter than we give them credit for.
Yeah, of course they are. Of course they are. If it doesn't,
in a modern sense too, there's not a lot of people out there living one with the nature, and like I was blessed enough to be raised subsistence with my grandfather from a young age, and stayed out there by myself even after he died. And there's stuff that even he saw, and that people who are 100% comfortable with it, and there's still stuff that you can't explain, and things that you see and you go,
John, I'm gonna mispronounce this word. What is it? The chupacabra? Am I saying that right? Yeah, am I saying it? Yeah. So I mean, what do they say that is?
Lactated her in high school.
Didn't we all?
Well, that's the mammal they've
I'm not admitting to
found,
anything.
like, fossils and stuff for.
Well, they have.
I'm with you, John.
We have a thing called the devil dog in Alaska.
Yep.
Which is
right.
New Jersey devil too.
Like that. Yeah. So it's definitely the other thing about Bigfoot and quite a bit of other cryptids like the chupacabra, right? As far as a modern sense, if 3 or 4 of us said, "Hey, I saw Brett, touch that camel inappropriately," right? That would be taken in a court as evidence, right?
Yeah.
But for some reason, tens of thousands of years worth of hundreds of millions of people throughout the world can say, "Hey, there's this thing called Bigfoot, and it looks like this." Magically, that's bullshit. And I think there's definitely like a even if looking at it from a logical standpoint, I think it would be ludicrous to be able to believe, oh well, this is not possible and they don't exist and nobody's seen them, because
that's like way too many storytellers. Way too many storytellers. I mean, that's too many storytellers.
Yeah, 3 of us said, "Oh, well, I saw the guy rob the store and stab the clerk." That guy, whoever we said did that, would probably be found guilty and right.
Right. Like a jury.
I've heard that a number of times about Bigfoot and UFOs and ghosts and everything. If you were to take this in a court of law to convict somebody of, say, like you were going to convict them of a crime, and Bigfoot was involved, and you had witnesses, those witnesses would be enough to make the jury convict. Mm-hmm. So if witnesses to a crime are enough to convict, why wouldn't witnesses that come forward to seeing Bigfoot be enough to make it be true?
Because these are conscious minds. These are conscious minds. So
I've heard the same argument about UFOs and about other things as well. And lo and behold, what do we find out? UFOs are freaking real.
They're real. They're real.
What have we here?
And I want to acknowledge this a little bit because Gary's got a good point, and I want to ask Lack over here about this, because I'm not 100% sure if this is true or if it's just something I've heard. But he says, I want to believe it's real, but I just wonder why we haven't recovered a skeleton by now. They must have a hell of
I say that about dinosaurs.
And
I say that about dinosaurs.
The thing is that I had someone tell me, who was a forest ranger, when we asked this before to somebody, because we used to go out looking for Bigfoot when we lived in the Pacific Northwest, when I lived up there in Washington. And the guy said to us, in all my 30 years of running around in the forest, I've never seen a bear skeleton.
No, that's what I was going to say too. Like,
exactly.
Something that you don't come across is bear remains, because
you don't come across bears remains. Yeah. So if a bear won't let you find its remains when it's ready to die, and no one has ever found bear remains in the wild, then
you can't find their shit either.
Then a Sasquatch is going to be even harder, because the other thing I want to mention too is
they don't want to be found, man.
Dead or alive.
Part of this documentary that's coming out on Bigfoot, they actually have hair samples, blood samples, and skin samples that they use DNA testing on, and they found that I don't know if I'm going to get this right, but the maternal DNA, which means I think it's the mother's side, is like 99.999999 repeated percent human being, but the paternal side, which I believe is the man, that side of the DNA is an unknown primate. And all animals on the planet have that. Like even ourselves, we have two sets of DNA in a sense, and one that, so somewhere back in what that tells these geneticists is that in the past there was an offshoot of human being that we went this direction on the family tree and they went that direction, and that where they meet is only two branches of the tree that we have so far. And under that branch is where you then get like us in the Bigfoot, and then apes, and then orangutans, and chimpanzees and other things. And if you go down, those all have a common ancestor down to a further thing within the clade of these great apes that we belong to, and that we genetically belong to. So they actually have, this documentary is going to come out and show the evidence and all the data for this DNA that shows an unknown primate, and people claim that that's where they got the DNA samples from, is that a Bigfoot stepped on, like one guy put a bed of nails out. He kept getting something banging on his log cabin, his doors, when he was in his hunting lodge. So he made a piece of wood and he put nails in it. And when the thing came up, it stepped on the nails and screamed and then ran away. And he's got the thing with the blood in it. from it stepping on the nails, and they analyzed that blood and found it to be a non-human unknown primate.
Yeah, an unknown species kind of thing.
And that has been proven even up until, I can't think of the name now, but even recently in the last few years, right? Like when we were all young, they told us, oh, we evolved, right? We went from Neanderthal to Homo sapien to Homo erectus. But now it's been proven that a lot of those species were living, coinciding on the planet at the same time. And they've just discovered a new human relative. And if you'd asked me this yesterday, I could remember the name. But so all the time they're discovering, whereas, like I said, when we were children, there was Neanderthal, and then they turned into this, and then they turned into this, right? And so like the Darwin poster of evolving, like we do know now that is a misconception. There was up to 6 humans that we know of now. There was up to 6 human species, including our own, that inhabited the earth at the same time, who could have bred with each other, right? And we've just discovered one a few years ago. So what you're saying with it being Bigfoot, just that could be the 7th, you know?
Yeah.
But a lot of native cultures, at least in Alaska, they do believe that there is a
he was the concubine.
There is a much more spiritual element.
I was in a vintage shop last week.
We're all saying you're the father, Rick. Well, guys, I don't want to keep us on one topic here. Lack will have to come back at a future show. We'll do one all about Bigfoot.
Yeah.
We'll come back to your stuff. What I want to do now is I want to move on. There's a lot of ghost talk in the chat, so let's move on to
I see that, John. Hey, one real quick, buddy. The texts come up so fast and disappear. I have no time to read them. Why doesn't it scroll?
I don't know if there's a way to see the chat on mobile.
Is there a way to scroll it, or there's no?
I'll try to bring some of them up.
Put it on the screen if you can.
I'm trying to read them, but they
spirits, poltergeist, the supernatural. Are they loved ones who have passed on? The souls of people trapped in this realm who cannot move on? Demons fooling us and vying for our souls? Or something from another reality that science has yet to explain?
He turns his phone sideways, he can see the chat. There's a tab on mobile.
Oh, is there?
Yeah, it's on there because
if I turn it sideways,
I think there's a little tab you'll see, and there's like 3 dots somewhere.
And
you'll be able to see chat.
Hold on.
Should see like if you tap the screen or something. There should be something. But what do you want? Do you want to talk about the believe? If we believe, John?
Well, I'd like to hear one of Sam's stories from growing up, because Sam had some stories growing up about ghosts and things that he's encountered, and I know a few other people might have encountered. I think Lax encountered a ghost, haven't you?
Yeah, I've had some things of myself.
Moving on. Just one more thing I wanted to say about Bigfoot. I think you gotta remember that back in the day, women and men were perverts. And you never know what you know what I mean? That they could have had sex with something, and it could have created something. So I'll just end that on that. But all right, let's move on, John.
Yeah, one of these side species that these guys brought up. You know, like there was a time where there was 4 or 5 different species. One of them could have got with a human and created.
Sure.
Like us, like we got.
I want to bang. I want to bang.
Oh, what have we?
We got Caucasian people. We have Asian people. Got people in Africa. Like everyone looks quite different, right? When you look at that, so when you hear about just different colors of Bigfoots, it's quite realistic that they're different dog breed, but a different
How could you not believe it? How could you not believe it? I mean, seriously, how could you not believe it? After everything we've seen as all gentlemen, I mean, how can you not believe it? I mean, I do. Yeah.
It would take a very closed-minded person to be able to decide. There is no, and you can insert anything in there. I mean, so many things from Bigfoot to a higher power to just everything. You know,
my 48 years of life, man, I believe anything. I'm telling you that, man. After the things I've seen, I believe it.
Wow. Dragon Buddy might even have some film. I have to convert some film to see what we might have caught on camera. Yeah.
As long as you send the right one.
Let's go.
Yeah, where Sam and I grew up, there was a lot of freaky things. And one of the things that I could share is I stayed over in the wintertime. Often there'd be snowstorms and things like that. And many times, if we knew a storm was coming, we knew school was going to close, our jobs were, none of us were going to go to our jobs. We would pick somebody's house. We'd pick someone's house to go to, and 3 or 4 of us would all stay there for 2 or 3 days while everything was shut down. And we stayed at one of my friend's houses that was down in the town, the Main Street town area of it was the main street, but just outside of the main town area where of Marion, New York. And we were all there sleeping in the living room together and watching movies and stuff and sleeping bags and stuff. And this was like back in like junior high, you know what I mean? So we were like 7th or 8th grade, you know, and we asked like around 11 or midnight, we asked like, why does nobody go upstairs? And they had a 2-story sort of like plantation looking farmhouse.
Victorian is actually.
Was that what you think? Yeah. And he said, well, there's something that lives up there and it freaks us out. So we don't go there. It's a ghost or something. And we were all like, what are you talking about? Like, that's crazy, right? And they actually had something like one of those baby gates, those things blocking the stairs. So you couldn't go up there, you know, a thing blocking the stairway. Way up the stairs so no one would go up there.
I'd be cinder blocks and I'd be bricking a wall.
Friends of ours were laughing
the roof off and let it float out.
And by about 12:30 we hear this ruckus, this noise over there, and we go to the stairway and there's one of our friends up there taking down the barrier.
Oh,
he's
no, he's
go.
not.
And we're like, what are you doing? And Andy's like, or our friend is like, no way, don't go up there.
We don't go up there. We don't go up there. Yeah, we don't go up there.
He's
like, what do you mean we?
He's basically pleading with him not to go, but he went all the way up the stairs and he's looking down the hall. So of course the rest of us run up there to see what's going on because now it's already done. You know, the deed is done. Let's go see. And sure enough, within a few minutes, there was a dark silhouette at the end of the hallway. And I was laughing and a couple of people were laughing. We're like, that's like a mannequin or something you got staged up there to scare us all. You know what I mean? And then the thing moved. And then it started coming closer. And we're like, what'd you do? You made something up? Like, is this like a sheet? Are you like, did you rig something? Because a lot of us had rigged stuff up for Halloween, like where they step on a board and the thing pops up or, you know what I mean? Like we would
Scooby-Doo shit.
Yeah, we did figured events or things, or someone would
gotcha, Daphne.
Costume and then they jump out, you know. So we're like thinking that he's screwing with us, but it comes closer and closer and starts getting faster and faster. And by the time it gets closer to us, we all realize it's a black silhouette with no head. It's just the body, like the arms, legs, shoulders, but no head, you know. And everybody freaked out and ran downstairs, and there it was, just standing at the top of the stairs. And we were like, why doesn't it come downstairs? And he goes, I have no idea. It never comes downstairs, so we just don't go up there. As long as we don't go up there, it doesn't bother us. And we stay down here, it never comes down, doesn't bother us. And they stayed living in the house. We were like, what the crap?
Yeah, it always makes me wonder, why would you even go to sleep?
We would have left.
I was like, I'm out.
Yeah. But it was very difficult. It was very difficult to stay there and sleep there after that. I think we were up all night watching movies until the next day where we could leave. You know,
it's like, dude, why would you tell me that and expect me to stay here and have cereal in the morning?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that house had a weird odor to it as well. I mean, it just had that very old smell to it. But and Andy's a unique soul. And I mean, if he was scared, I had something to worry about. So and we determined his sister's name is what, Sarah?
Well, I didn't really want to say a whole lot of their names just in case.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. Too late now.
As long as don't give us their address and phone number, we're good.
Yeah. We're not showing pictures or anything like that. That house, and right next door is a dentist. also in a Victorian. And I remember going there and getting a tooth pulled or something. And that dude was creepy as hell. He had soft hands. And you could just get a feeling in that house. It's that area. And John and I spoke about this last night. And I love John so much because he knows as well as I do. That town, that area, I think we all need to dive in to see what it is, John. Yeah, I think it's a canal. I do. I could be wrong. I think that because that whole area, they all dug that canal for how many miles from John? From Albany to what?
Albany to Buffalo. He's talking about the Erie Canal in New York, and thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people died on building the Erie Canal.
Yeah, a lot of times are still there. Any of them?
Because it's so old. Back in the day when they dug this thing, what they sometimes would do is if you didn't have a direct family member to pick you up to take the body, they would throw it in the bottom. Yeah. It would be in the bottom of the canal. Yeah.
Throw you there.
And you'd be so there's every square mile there's probably 10 or 15 people buried at the bottom of that canal as you go along it, you know.
Like John, do you want me to tell like a real quick story and I'll get it over with, or you want to do that now, or what do you want to do?
Tell him, say it, yeah.
I was camping on the canal with my now ex-girlfriend. We were in a tent on an air mattress. We just had, relations, and we were laying down, and something came up and breathed heavy into like right where our heads were at the edge of the tent, and it was like it sounded like a bull, like, and then we heard a cowbell, and then we heard a guy say something like, like a muffled, and I'm like, Jennifer, she's like, Sam, I'm not going to swear. She said, Sam, get the F out and see what the hell it is. I went out there was nothing. I mean, I could swear on my dead dad that I heard a freaking animal. Like you would think you would find hoof prints or somebody out in the distance calling this animal. So I think as well as human beings, I think animals have spirits too. I truly believe that. And I was telling John, I think so much death happened there that I think that entire region is experiences things. I have no reason to lie whatsoever. None whatsoever. It was a crazy experience. That's all I can tell you. And I still talk to Jennifer once in a while, and she said, Sam, you remember that night? I was like, oh. It sounded like a freaking, so I'm assuming it was a mule. Because isn't that what they dragged it with on the edge of the canal?
Because
they dragged the.
And even back in the day, before they had motorized boats, what they would do is they had a path next to the canal,
right?
And the mules would be on the path with chains and ropes attached to the barge, a big flat barge, and they would just pull the barge along, and the barge would be full of all the goods,
Yeah, man, dude, that's for anybody to think that soul is just going to go away. I mean, it's not gonna, and I think it's hard for them to manifest. And maybe that night with me and Jennifer, I wasn't on drugs, I wasn't drunk. It manifested somehow, and it decided. And I mean, I don't know if I heard a whistle, but it was definitely something breathing next to my head. And Jennifer was so scared. She's like, man up and go out there and see what it is. I was like, I'm not gonna.
I didn't go with my tent either.
I was scared to death. I was like, hell no. And then I was like, fine, I'll put my freaking shoes on. I went out there, nothing.
Yeah, Sam, G-Force here, look at his thing. He says, all my stories are from the Albany, New York area. G-Force grew up in upstate New York as well. And he was actually at a lot of the same concerts we were at. Cool. When we were out going to see like all those rock concerts and all the
Overkill
metal bands, he was at those same shows.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's cool is, Sam, your story is, you might have missed my story, but my story was basically the exact same as yours, except there was, I didn't bring up making whoopee, and I was intoxicated. But my experience was, we thought it was like a bear or a Bigfoot outside the tent. And your experience is what you thought it was more of supernatural based on, hearing maybe a person and a bell and a snorting of a mule or a horse or something. So it's weird that we both have these completely different conclusions from basically the same kind of situation. Like it could have been like 3 raccoons just, mating or something.
You very well could be right. Like, right. You could be right. And I like the skepticism.
The wind carries it. Yeah.
I'm seeing lots
I like the skepticism.
People moving into houses where they've heard about people passing away and whatnot, and the experiences arise from that. So similar time for me, early 90s, one of my first apartments was in an attic of an old house, like a very old house, probably 200 years old. So in this attic, it was basically just one room, and at the end was like the kitchen and the bathroom. And the bathroom had one of those old-fashioned clawfoot tubs. Like it probably weighed 500 pounds, cast iron.
Cast iron tub.
A dinky. And I thought, wow, this is the coolest place. I'll take it. This guy just, I've never seen a cast iron tub before, let alone had one. And I lived there about 6 or 7 months and ended up moving in with a girl. But after living there for about 3 months, hanging out at one of the restaurants down below, like basically next door to this house, heard the story of, oh yeah, when this restaurant first opened in like 1953 or something, the cook had an affair with the owner of that house, and they were both murdered like in that clawfoot bathtub. And I'm like, that's great to know. Now that I've lived here all this long. But my only my only memories is even in the peak of summer, that place was cold. It was just always cold.
Cold.
It shouldn't be, even if it's peak summer, it was always cold. So I just, from lack of knowledge and experience, I just associate that with maybe the tragedy or the deaths or, the spirits of the Stark lovers that, passed away there, right? But I'll never know, and I'll never look into that story anymore because I don't want to know. Like, I really don't want to know it.
Yeah. Do you guys have you guys ever followed Jason Haas and Grant Wilson from Ghost Hunters? Jason is from he's from Avon. He was born in Avon, but he grew up in Canandaigua. Which, I mean, I think, I've tried to reach out to him numerous times. And if I could ever get a hold of him, I know he will entertain us.
Yeah.
And to do, I know he will. John, I know he will. I've watched that show for how many years now. And he also thinks there's significance to the canal.
Yeah.
And I do. I honestly, from the bottom of my heart, I grew up in that area. And I used to take walks in a snowy night, and I could just hear talking, like a muffled talk. Now, you can't tell me that's a raccoon. You can't tell me it's this or that. I know what the hell I heard, and there was nobody around. So, I mean, but here's the mystery of it. I don't think they want people to believe you. I almost think it's like a cruel freaking joke. So once once you're a spirit, once you die, you're just like, yeah, well, I'm just going to mess around with these people.
Yeah.
I'm going to make other people think they're crazy by, them telling stories that, maybe.
Yeah.
I wish I could move this.
Yeah.
Right?
So my mom says Gettysburg, she was down there, and they have a ghost tour where you can feel and see ghosts.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would think a lot of big cities,
the battlefields.
I've only visited Chicago. Like I've only visited so many places in the U.S., but some of the origins of building the cities, and tragedies have happened. There's lots of people that died building every one of the cities we kind of live in. We're in a big city kind of thing. So, and those tend to be separate of houses or inns or hotels in some of these towns. In the big towns, it's usually in that heritage part of town that, where they still have the cobblestone and, there's not a lot of renovations and new construction, where I'm not saying that the ghosty woasties can't carry on into new construction, but I mean, you would think that maybe they wouldn't, like if say they tore down a block of those old Victorian houses and they replaced it with a big high rise, are the chances lower that there's going to be any, paranormal activities in that giant high rise?
Like poltergeist. Yeah, it's like poltergeist. Yeah.
Hey, TJC, good to see you.
What's up, TJC?
What's up, TJC?
I was a.
I would be hard pressed to ghost hunt Amityville House. Oh yeah, now that's in where is that? New York City, John, right?
I think it is somewhere in New York. Yeah, I think it's
yeah.
in New York.
I think it's Long Island. I think possibly.
Jesus.
Had a girlfriend whose doorbell rang every day at 4 a.m. They had replaced it completely. It still rang every day. Come on now. Why? I have
that was her other boyfriend. Of course.
I had a life of not.
He's a boozer.
I had a life of not believing in ghosts, and I had an apartment. And one time I was at the end of the hallway, and I thought I saw somebody sitting on my couch, and I was like, "Who's that?" I saw like an older guy in a tracksuit. I'm like, "What the hell?" And then it wasn't there. I'm like, I'm smoked too much last night or whatever, you know. And had to go to work. I was late for work. Couldn't find my keys. I leave my bedroom. I go out there where I just saw this. I hear my keys drop on the carpet as if they fell out of my pocket, but like in the other room,
20 feet away.
And I go in the other room, and there's my keys.
Wow!
Come on.
And I kept having things like that go on where they were more or less like just wanting to communicate, not bad or good, just like
just little things,
you know.
So it'd be like a poltergeist. That's considered a poltergeist, right?
I've got a few stories from that time in my life at that particular place with that particular, I'll just say, ghost. But I think with a lot of people in life, you know, you can choose what to believe and not to believe, and then sometimes something will happen where it just flips you on your head, and you just go, "Damn, I can't deny that something."
I can't deny it.
Happened, whether I believe it or not. There's definitely something that just happened to me.
And then you're in that situation. Then you're in that room where I want to tell people about it, but they're gonna look at me like I'm freaking Bigfoot.
Yeah.
I
mean, you know unequivocally in your life what something is real and true to you. So
sure,
there's always gonna be the skeptics, but I mean, I've always thought too, a lot of it is that our minds can do more than we even know. And I think we can subconscious energy from heartbreak, from emotion, from sadness, from grief, from these other places and distant memories of relatives, and we can project them. I think that happens too. Yeah, that's probably a different episode, but
I mean, but I'm saying though, but what do these people think when you say it? They're just like, oh, he's crazy.
I don't know. I just this is my personal theories, and I just think that when I had those experiences, those were really real to me, and it's something happened that I can't explain. So I have to say, the only thing I can think is it was a helpful ghost. So I jokingly call him Gary the Ghost.
Gary the Ghost.
I did a podcast episode about it. Told the whole story, all the different things I had with him. It was crazy. I had friends come over and say, "Is that your dad in the front room?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I'd look, nothing's there. I was like, "Oh, that's Gary." You know, just as a joke. Who's Gary?
Gary the Ghost.
Gary the Ghost. Never mind. You know, it is.
Well, I kind of was wondering the same thing.
I'm like, things that are possible.
Yeah.
And people who, people who deny it, deep down, I think a lot of those people they have the same idea. They know, but it's something they're not ready for.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we definitely live in a time where
they're scared.
Yeah, they're scared. And nobody wants to be outside of what they've created for themselves as being the norm, right? Which is in the modern day definitely subverses the spiritual and the believing and the there's no place for that in this modern world of doing what you're supposed to and doing your 40 hours.
Agreed.
Doing your taxes, right? And so there's a lot of people that will be against it just because. I mean, I've talked to people about different stuff, especially maybe older people, and they'll throw their hands up and say, "Hey, look, I can't talk about that."
Yeah.
Which is showing that they know, but they just can't hack it. There's just something we can't into, And ghosts.
I've
they don't want to feel like they're left. They don't want to feel like you know what I mean? That I'm a weirdo. They don't, because people have your conscious. You want to feel like you're, accepted by people. You never want to be that guy that's like, oh man, I'm telling a weird story and nobody believes me, and then you're left out in the darkness. Yeah. So that's
I've been telling weird stories for years, man.
See, me too. That's the thing. It's like to last point there. That's the similar thing with me when it comes to ghosts. Like even though I saw the black silhouette, and I've had 2 or 3 other experiences in my life that you could chalk up to ghosts, my brain inside my head wants to say, like, I'm not sure that what we're seeing is like legitimately a dead relative or a dead person that has their spirit, their ghost has come back to haunt the place. What I question is, do we know for a fact that what we're seeing doesn't have some scientific like explanation that we just haven't discovered yet? Like, is there another form of life? Like, is there another form of life living on this planet that is sort of out of phase with us, so we can't see it? Do you know what I mean? Like I'd almost be more willing to accept that there is another life form on this planet that is out of phase with us in some way, and we're seeing that, and we call them ghosts, than actually thinking that my dead grandma is still running around this place throwing my keys on the ground or breaking a plate every while or shutting the door.
I like that train of thought, John, because like if I was to have ghost experiences like tonight or tomorrow or whatever, why wouldn't it be like my dad or someone who's passed away in my family? Why does it have to be like a babushka from 1800s? Like, or do you know what I mean? Like, I understand if you're visiting
my brother walking around the condo
haunted house, but I mean, like, I have lights flicker sometimes, and it's either a wonky light bulb, or it's my dad telling me, "Hey, stop doing that," or
it's that wonky light bulb.
Or it's a wonky light bulb. It's one or the other.
That wonky light bulb.
I love the word wonky.
It's definitely not a ghost that's not my dad. That's how I see that. But I mean, any experience that someone might have, if I was to have an experience, I would hope it would be someone I knew and not someone I didn't know, because that makes it freaky deaky, ghosty wosty, shadow bastard stuff. And I want none of that. Nope.
Because that's another thing. I will tell you this, like, knowing my brother and having him pass away, if there was any way at all that he could come back and haunt me and do stuff, move stuff around, slam doors, leave blood written on the wall, of like, you're going to die. My brother would do it. My brother would be haunting me every day of my life, trying to scare the crap out of me if ghosts were real. So it's like, that kind of makes me think, like, well, then where is he? You know what I mean? If ghosts are real, where is he? Why isn't he here drawing on the walls and making things happen? Because he would do it. He told me even before he passed, I'm going to come back and do all kinds of shit.
Well, because he had time to think about it, because he knew he was going to die. So, I mean, he was, damn well, he was thinking about it. Like, I'm going to fuck with John. Excuse my mouth. I'm going to mess with John. I'm totally going to mess with John. I'm going to scare him to death. And just to get a reaction out of him.
He's just waiting.
Yeah, maybe he is. Maybe he's like, if I do it now, he's expecting it. I'll wait like 5 years.
Yeah. Right.
Just like it was so unexpected with me. The keys and stuff. It could just one day you could just hear something and go, "That's that." That's sound.
He could very well be busy doing other things, because if you think if you are a spirit. And
banging Marilyn Monroe, and
if you can go in the universe, maybe he's got a list of things he's doing before he gets back to it.
Man, I want to think that.
My mother passed away in 1984, and she worked at this company that made like promotional products, and she had these cups.
Yeah,
and she would always have ice in these cups, and I didn't have a visit from her, so to speak, but I heard that cup shake the ice one day, and I was the only person in the house. So there could be something like that for you, John, where you just hear some familiar sound that reminds you of it.
Man.
Whether it was just Sasquatch up there said it when he said he hears a sound once in a while. Rick, I'm just kidding about Sasquatch, but you hear sometimes you just get
we got it, buddy.
You can just get gentle reminders,
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that.
I just think that when that happens, I think that, hey, Dad.
It's just like a quick hello. Yeah.
A little reminder.
Yeah,
Hello. Yeah.
Mark said he would turn the Tunnel Rat action figure around, and we've had it sitting on the TV mantle since he passed. And that was going to be his way of telling me that there's life after death, is that he was going to spin it around. And it hasn't moved yet, but you're right. Maybe it's going to take him 5 or 10 years to figure it out, you know?
That'll be the season 2 cliffhanger of this new show.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool to think about, man. That's a very cool way to think about it, actually.
And because this is our topic right now too, like something I've always wondered and I've been curious about, like, does it matter if we're speaking ghosts, paranormal like that? Does it matter if the person, say died naturally or perhaps had a traumatic event?
Tragedy.
Or
Tragedy. Yeah, man.
Because I tend to associate when you see all these like ghost hunters and stuff, because it's still a thing. It was a thing back in the day before the internet, and now it's back again bigger than ever because of the internet. But I mean, those things that they are encountering tend to be not, their grandmas and their dads and their, it tends to be maybe people like we first talked about had a tragic end building these tunnels or working on this high rise or something, right?
Because energy never dies. Energy never.
Like, I wonder if there is no good energy ghost, or it is just the bad energy, or what my people call, not satanic, but more devil or more more of a demon. Demon is the word, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't
Puklani
see that as much, but I mean, I tend to clump it together as
maybe he crossed over to the next place and can't come back. Hey,
exactly. That's kind of what Rick's getting at.
Or he's just simply busy, Hey, or he's just simply busy. If he can.
I like to believe that my Graham visits me every time I see a dragon. Okay.
I thought you were going to say have
relations.
Cool.
I think a dragon yet.
I thought he was going to say every time he has relations.
Speaking of energy, right? So I used to dig graves for a lot of years. Okay, and I built coffins and dug graves and.
No, why would you take that job?
I feel like that's
who wants to do that job?
Man, if you want to talk about deep spirituality,
I feel like that's good karma because you
being one with yourself.
Did that to help pass on.
Yeah, totally. But so in some of the graveyards that because I worked at 2 of them in the village, we had 2 different ones, and there was everything is like wooden crosses. There's very few stones and everything. So over the decades, we lose, and there's like no real map. The only
markers.
Yeah, there's no map except for a very modern age map. So every once in a while, you would be digging a grave next to somebody. Somebody might decide, well, I wanted to be buried next to my grandfather or grandmother, and you would dig there, and you'd get down to 6 feet, and you'd realize, somebody's already here.
Somebody's already here.
Somebody's already here. And that happened to us a couple times. Well, was talking to, at one point, an old elder from somewhere else who was a grave digger and caretaker. And he taught me, and I'll have to do a video on this, but he taught me about witching. And I'm sure y'all have seen, like a guy used 2 welding rods to maybe find like a pipeline in the ground.
Find water.
Yeah.
Find water. Okay, well, you can take
where you
2
hold
copper
them
rods. Yeah, it's called dowsing. But
dowsing.
2 copper rods to a cemetery, and when you walk on and this, you can obviously test this with graves that are clearly marked.
I won't test this. I won't.
Well, I will do. I've been meaning to do videos for a long time on this, and I will do it, and I'll tag y'all in it. But you can step on a grave with these copper rods, and the rods will cross. They will cross, right?
Yeah, man.
And it's so accurate that you can determine, whether it's a child's grave or a full-size grave. But then the even more scarier part to that, and again, I've done this many, many times after I learned how to do it, and have shown other people in cemeteries and graveyards where shit is clearly marked, right? But once you find the center of a grave, you put down one dowsing rod and you hold the other one, and you squat down real close to the dirt, and you hold the one rod, and if it is a man holding the rod and a man buried in the ground, the rod will point at you.
Wow.
And if it is a man holding the rod and a female buried in the ground, it'll point away from you.
Swing.
Whoa.
Right? And I took a friend, this has been a couple years, but a friend of mine was like, just kind of into the spirituality stuff, and energy is where, y'all talking about energy is where I wanted to tell this. But we went to a cemetery here, and I was showing them, you know, there's plenty of places where you can see two headstones maybe in one gate, and you can say, oh, that's husband and wife, right? That's a fairly common.
Yeah. I'm gonna gate it in.
Yeah. So I was showing my friend. I said, I'd say, okay, there's two stones, and I'm gonna approach them from behind them where I can't see, you know, and I'm gonna tell you which one is Mr. and which one is Mrs. And so we did this all day in this cemetery, and I was right 100% of the time.
Wow.
I'd test each one. I'd say, this is Mr. whoever, this is Mrs. And he said, oh my God, you're right. Well, right toward the end of the day, we were going to do one last one. And I go over there and I test the one and I test the other one. I say, okay, this is Mr. and this is Mrs. And my friend says, nope, you're wrong. I said, no, there's no way. And I turned around, and of course I was wrong by the headstones.
Yeah.
And we were sitting there and we were talking about it, and it became like closing time. And the crypt keeper from there drove up to us because we're the only people out there. And he was about to ask us what we were doing. Well, he knew what we were doing because he saw the rod.
Hey, what are you doing with that shovel?
Right. Well, he comes up to us.
Easy there, dude.
Yeah. Well, I said, hey, what's the deal with this? Because again, this is kind of a fairly common thing used by grave diggers, right? And I said, so what's the deal with this? We've been doing this all day, but this male and female I had wrong. And he said, interesting story. He said, these two headstones were replaced not long ago.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I told them
Backward.
to pick up the one stone and replace it, and then pick up the other stone and replace it. He said they picked up both stones, left and came back, and they forgot which side they were on.
And did it wrong.
And he said, you're absolutely right. The stones have been crossed when they were.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's freaky, man.
So the point though is that so even in death, and I've done graves that are, I mean, especially like here in Northwest Florida, graves from the 1700s, right? We have some super old, like original Spanish.
Oh, hell yeah. Back to the conquistadors and stuff like that.
So
man.
what energy is there that you're reading with these dowsing rods? And then the sub question is how is that energy transferred to you as the person holding the rod? Because like I said, if you're a male and there's a male gray it points at you. But if you gave the rod to your wife, it would point away because it's the opposite of what's related to who you are. Yeah. And so and I learned that a long time ago, but so I've never been able to doubt that there is something going on.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
Spirit, and and even if the
John is like, it's like we go to our graves thinking about what this nice gentleman just said. It's just like, but okay, do we keep investigating it, or do we just or do we keep investigating it and get further into it? That's what I say. I say we get further into it.
Get definitive proof.
Yeah, I say we get further into it and find out, I don't know if you guys watch Ghost Adventures. Zach Baggins is funny as hell. He is so dramatic, but he investigates. You can't say he doesn't, because he does. He goes into towns, he investigates everything that happened in that small town, which I find to be fascinating. He's fascinating to watch. I've been watching him since 2004, and he's right. It's like use every form we can to figure out, you know what I mean? The spiritual realm. Yeah. I mean, and don't give up on it. I mean, as a team, the more the merrier. The more the merrier. And what do you think about Zach, John?
I don't watch it enough to even have an opinion. I don't watch a lot of those ghost hunter shows, but I might start now. With
Zach
things like
Baggins, dude, he's a goofball. He is a goofball. Him and Nick. And then he's got the goofy guy. I can't think of his name right this second because I'm brain dead. But they go down and they'll get in that basement where it's dark, and they'll stay there for a day and a half, 2 days, and just listen. And the funny thing is, they don't usually find anything, but sometimes they do. Yeah. And that's the magical part of it. You know what I'm saying? It's like that spirit is trying to, gather it up, man. Like, here I am. And dude, it's fascinating. He's actually a really cool dude, John. Zach Baggins. So write that down if you got your notebook there, or
I'll check it out.
Computer system.
It's on the internet forever.
Yeah.
He's cool, man. Check him out.
I like to watch.
That was a really cool
I
story.
like to watch a guy called Casper Sight, and he just looks at.
What's his name again? What's his name again?
Casper Sight.
Like Casper the Friendly Ghost?
Yeah, he's a funny UK guy. He likes to talk about ghosts and the paranormal, and then go off and maybe do an episode about drones and different alien things. Whatever's popular.
Oh, we got a Canadian in the room.
But his favorite thing is to talk about the ghosty wosties and the freaky deaky and the spooky wookie. And like I said, he's very funny and entertaining to watch. But he'll watch all these guys' channels, including the guys you're talking about, and do like their top 10 videos, and he'll commentate over the top 10 videos and give his opinion whether he thinks that's fake or real or he'll.
What part of Canada are you from, dude? Before I forget to ask you.
I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Vancouver, man, a boot.
What are you talking about?
My brother's wife, ex-wife, was Canadian, so I got Canadian. He's a nephew.
She still is Canadian.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, that's so high. But,
so I got one short graveyard story.
Okay.
I think we're still in high school even. So pre-1990, maybe late 80s. We go to visit the grave of the great Terry Fox. So Terry Fox was a Canadian icon who ran across Canada with one leg for the cure for cancer. And he passed away on his journey. He didn't actually make it. But so that was part of me growing up in Canada, was that's a historic icon in our society kind of thing. So we went, and he grew up here in Port Coquitlam, close by to where I am. And lots of people would go visit this, big cemetery in the city. And we go, drink a couple beers. We were kids, right? Punks.
Sure.
And so, but this one girl where we found Terry Fox's grave because we hadn't been there before. It was the first time. It's a marked tombstone, very nice and everything. And she's standing there kind of, bowing her head or whatever. And her leg sunk into the grave. And we all just, including her, we got her out, and we all just took off and never went back again. But it was just weird because he had one leg, right?
He was trying to get her leg. He's like, give me your leg.
She went in just past her knee. Like, she sunk in 14 inches or whatever. Like, it was just, any of us could have. And it's not a fresh grave. He'd been dead several years, but it was just a weird thing to happen in a graveyard.
That happened in my dad's grave. That happened in my dad's grave. I shit you not. And so what? The ground was so soft. I understand it's soft above where the casket is, but that happened at Dad's grave in Ontario.
Huh.
Yeah, for sure. My mom's leg went down in like that. Wow. Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's almost like they're dragging you down. Like, come here.
Wow. Yeah.
At the time, when you're 18 years old, you're like, yep, that's exactly what he's doing. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
We all quit drinking.
All right, I wrote that down.
Can we switch gears again? We'll have a whole episode later on. We'll talk the whole time about ghosts, but I really wanted to touch a little bit on UFOs before we left, especially since drones and UAP are all in the news right now. And
my dad would call them UFOs.
UFOs, UAP, whatever you call them. What is flying around in our skies and into our oceans? Secret government military projects? Lizard people from inside the hollow earth? Human beings from the future? Aliens from another planet? Or something natural to our earth that science has yet to discover?
I'm also trademarking Drone Wars. So you guys can't use that?
Drone Wars Part 2.
Drone Wars, yeah.
And Bigfoot Wars.
He just said
that's a little trademark next to it.
John, when you're done with your, can I start us off with a good one of my many great UFO stories when you're ready?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, I gotta share this moment with you guys because my whole life, okay, I've gone back and forth. When I was a child, reading all those mystery books and things, I got UFO books out of the library. I was 100% on board, 100% convinced. I read about Betty and Barney Hill. I read about, the UFOs over, was it Kenneth Arnold? Those UFOs. I read about Roswell. I read about all that stuff, and I was like 100% convinced. But as I got older, I went back and forth a number of times in my life where I was like, I don't know. Yes, they could be real. No, they're not real. Yes, they're real. No, they're not real. Multiple times in my life, I went back and forth. And it's kind of interesting now today to actually see the government and people in Congress and military guys come out and say, yeah, this has all been real. I'm like, we're finally at that point where, yeah, these things are actually in our sky. They haven't said where they come from yet. They haven't said what the non-human biological material is yet. To me, non-human biological material means aliens, but whatever. It might not be.
Yeah. Unidentified flying object does not mean little green men necessarily.
Yeah, necessarily. So, but they're admitting that they're in the sky and we're seeing something that we can't explain, and it's beyond anything that we have on Earth. No country on Earth has the technology to make these things do what they're doing. And I've always wanted to see one. I've always been like, why is it that like you can grow up your whole life, 50 odd years, and never see a thing? And I hear all this stuff. We hear all these people. I've lived in areas where people are like, I saw something that's like, well, why didn't I see it? I was outside that day,
I'm missing out.
But finally, a few weeks back, it might have been a month ago now, we're out on the golf course, my dad and I, and we're about, I think, 13 holes. I think it's the 13th hole where it's up on this hill. Where you tee off, you're up on a hill, and you're teeing down to the hole. The hole's down.
Yeah, the fairway's down. Yeah, the fairway's down.
Yeah, so I'm standing up on the hill, and my dad's at the bottom, and I look over the building. So there's the hill we're standing on where you tee off. There's a river right here, like a little thing that they've built in our community to give us like a little river, a lake, and a pond in our area. And across the river is another building. Okay, that's a condo building, and above that building is a perfectly round, like the black sphere, perfectly round black sphere.
Not like a saucer, not like a saucer, like a round, like a ball.
Round ball, like a ball. Yeah, like a ball, a black ball. And it's about the size, like if you put your fist up in the air from where I was standing, that's what it took to cover it up. And if you drew lines from it straight down on either side, you could see that it covered about the patio of one of our condos. And now the patio, our condo patio windows are probably about 30 feet wide. So I'm looking at it and I'm judging everything, and I go, that is a very strange looking helicopter.
Right.
And I'm like, why? And then I said, why is there a helicopter above our...
Did you hear noise? Did you hear noise? Did you hear noise?
Then all of a sudden, I go to my dad, do you see that? Like, what is that thing? Why is that helicopter? And he's like, I don't hear anything. I don't see. What are you talking about? And I'm like, yeah, there's no noise.
Yeah.
Like, why, if you were that close to a helicopter, you would hear it.
Yeah, you hear the water.
From us to the building might have been like 150 yards or so. You know what I mean? It wasn't that far, so you would definitely be hearing it. And then I realized that the other strange thing about it is above it, so not on the sides, above it and below it is like a heat signature. So when you look down the road on a really hot day and you see that fuzzy,
the wave,
wave of the heat,
wave, yeah,
that was above it and below it. And right where about that heat would dissipate to where it's back to regular sky, there was an orange glow on the edge of it. So it's black sphere, fuzzy heat signature, then orange glow. And the orange glow curved in the same curve that the black ball curved. And it was on the bottom as well. So it's like above and below it with a black sphere in the middle. And I'm sitting there going, what the crap is that orange stuff? Like, helicopters don't have that orange. And I keep thinking in my head, I'm trying to rationalize it as this is the strangest helicopter I've ever seen. Because I'm just sitting there going, it can't freaking be anything but a helicopter. What is this thing? And it starts getting smaller. And I realize it's flying away from us, you know?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And that's the point where I said, why am I not filming this? Like, why don't I have it? And the thing is that the when we play golf, we have to, even though it's a golf course on a retirement community that nobody else is going to go to. I mean, people from outside can come there, but it's not like we're on TV or anything. They do have a dress code. So I have to wear a button-up collared shirt, golf shirt, and I have to wear golf pants. And the pants only have pockets in the front. So you don't, we always have water with us. We have our keys, we have our wallets, phones, anything else that we brought with us, like a snack or something. So we empty our pockets and we put it, there's little cargo containers on the golf cart. So we put all our crap in there, including our phone, so we don't have to worry about anything when we're golfing. We're not going to drop our phone out of our pants or anything like that. And but that golf cart was where we started, like on the last hole where we started, like 300 yards away. So I'm like, crap. If I run over there and get my phone, it might be gone. And while I'm thinking this while I'm watching it disappear into the distance, and I'm like, damn it! Like now I understand why people don't get these things on their phones on camera, you know. And while I'm thinking this and looking at it, as it's flying away, it suddenly stops. And this is what made me realize it definitely was not a helicopter. It went from above the buildings up into outer space through the clouds in that much time.
Just like gone, light speed.
It just went poof, like straight up in the air that fast.
Because it knew you were going to get your phone.
So fast that my eyes almost saw like a black line. Like that was how it like your eyes couldn't comprehend.
Yeah, nothing man-made can move that fast. I don't give a shit. I mean,
so I was like, immediately, right then I went, crap, we finally saw a freaking Dad goes, it was a UFO. He's down there yelling, it was a UFO. And I'm like, finally, we see a freaking UFO. And none of us got it on camera or anything. You know what I mean?
You're lucky it didn't come back and like swallow your soul. And like, you know, you just like drag it out of you and be like, oh, I swallow your soul.
So I have no clue what we saw. I don't want to say we saw aliens. I don't have a clue what we saw, but we definitely saw something that was unexplained.
Right. A lot of things down here, John, and the rumor is what down here is there drones flying over looking for and tracking illegal immigrants. Now, I guess that's kind of a, because they want to do, you know, this deportation shit and stuff like that. So maybe it is, but dude, drones, dude, there's nothing man-made that can move as fast as what you're talking about. No way.
Yeah.
It's impossible, man. There's no way anything can go. No.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they're hiding something.
What I really think is interesting is my rational brain just sat there wanting to believe it was a helicopter. I could not get it out of my head. I was like, how is this helicopter doing this? What's it doing?
Yeah,
like,
it must be a helicopter. What else?
It didn't want to accept that while I was doing it. And I thought that was a fascinating thing. I'm like, why can't I just say it was a UFO while I'm sitting here? You know what I mean? Like, it just wanted to. And even now, my dad goes, I think it was a drone or a helicopter we saw, even though it's like
Bob
kind of reason it out.
No drone. Yeah, he can't reason it out. He goes, and he's just like written it off now. It's just like, nah, it had to be a drone or something. And it's like,
and your dad's an IT guy, right? Your dad's an IT guy. Yeah. So I mean, he's got an open mind thinking that it could be, oh my goodness. Okay, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So not to change the topic, we'll stay on topic, but similar to what you're saying there, John, where it must be a bird or a helicopter or a balloon or, whatever it could be, because, UFOs aren't real kind of thing. But like, say I was like with Lack and we were camping and out in the bush and, the great white, 52nd state of America, Canada. And say I would say we saw Bigfoot. Like, and you were like, oh, well, let's catch it, let's kill it, let's
eat it.
The last thing you're thinking about, or let's get our camera out. We're probably just sitting there like watching the pee go down our legs a little bit, and and look, you wouldn't think about.
I thought you Canadians were nice
about what is in front of me right now. Like, what are we looking at? Yeah. And then I would think about the moment where Lack would look at me and say, let's get out of here. And then something's really wrong if Lack's scared of it, from his experience, living in the bush and stuff like that. But I just wanted to say, like, your mind wants it to be, it's obviously it's a bear, and it's standing up and going like this. Hello, Lack and Rick. I'm just a bear. But we're like, it must be a bear. It can't be, a Bigfoot. So similar to see something in the sky, you're assuming, well, it must be. It's obviously something else because it's not a big flying black ball that defies gravity and all, science. It just. But yeah, the drones, the past, 3, 4, 5 months happening in America, caught my attention.
Yeah,
very much.
And too.
Well, just like
and if we don't find out next week or the week after, or whatever, what they do, what you say. The American government, what they do know about all those drone sightings on the East Coast, New Jersey, and whatnot. I think they're not going to say we found Bigfoot, we have proof, but I think on the UAP, with UFO side of things now, something is about to be revealed, and I don't think they're from like our, or your emissaries or your war component like China or Russia or any other. I don't think they're from another country. I'm going to put it that way. I think they're going to find out, and they're going to say we don't know.
Those drones are
what these are, but we know they're not made in China.
I agree. I think they're definitely. I think they're looking. I think they're surveilling illegal immigrants because they're about to do mass deportation. I completely think they're trying to.
Could be a lot of things. Yeah. No telling what kind of technology is in the drones, though.
But see, do you guys watch the news? What that Tom Hohen guy says? He says mass deportation. We are going to come. Yeah, I mean,
from South America are in frickin' New Jersey.
Like, that's what I'm saying. But they're where does the drone?
5,000 miles to be homeless in New Jersey. Zero.
Where are the drones? Where did they see the drones? New Jersey.
Like Texas or Arizona or Florida. They're down south, and if they make it up to Washington State or
New Jersey,
it's because the government paid for them to go there. Like,
of course,
we're going to set you up
the technology that's in those.
But I'm going to go back there.
Listen. They're deploying these drones in highly populated areas to test software that can detect me in a group of 3,000 people.
Agreed.
That's what they're doing. Whether it has something to do with deportations or anything else, they can find weapons with these things. They can sniff out dirty bombs. Everything. These things are highly more advanced than any drone you can get.
Well, they had that story where
they can't move that fast, though.
What's that, Rick?
I think those have been around at least 10
years.
I
agree, but I think they're deploying them because this is a moment in time where they're going to be used and necessary to be used. January 20th is going to be a big day.
Yes, it is.
Get these things going now, test them out, say, okay, we can deploy these quicker than we can deploy people on the ground.
I guarantee you won't see one drone flying within 100 kilometers or 100 miles.
No, but if there was some type of
not one.
If there was some type of threat There very well could be, but I don't.
No, they'll bring in a freaking fighter.
I mean, that's the next episode, but I mean that's politics. But I'm telling you, I think this.
Oh no, I'm not trying to bring politics in at all. That's
no, I'm saying you were on
technology being used with policing the people.
Sure.
Just like a highway camera, just like cameras on the sidewalks in the UK for the last 20 years.
You are absolutely correct.
I don't
You're
think
absolutely correct.
Not to be political, but I've seen lots of shows.
They can't, but drones. The way they move is not humanly possible. We're not running a remote control car down the road. This damn thing, they move like, dude, up, down, fast, back, altitude. Yeah, dude, that's impossible. And it just is.
But I'm just saying, like, if just because there is a presidential inauguration thing coming up, there's no way that a drone from a foreign country or whatever could get there and do bad stuff.
Not in our airspace.
And it's not because they're putting a net over top of a park, because that doesn't exist yet. They don't have big nets like that. But I mean, it's because they have military stuff, whether it's surface to air or radar or whatever.
But I mean, when they move
it from far away.
And I talked to John.
A coincidence.
I talked to John last night about this. John, I talked to you last night about this. It's impossible for anything to move that fast. I mean, they are moving like, it's just impossible to move that fast. What technology do we have to make something move that fast?
We have
alien
technology.
Down.
We have alien technology, and then we can release a fleet of 50 regular military drones, and then right in the middle of it, we can have an alien one to peek around.
Yeah, it's alien, man.
Well, let's hear Lack's story. Lack had a story, he said.
Okay.
Can't wait.
I have 2 short ones, okay? So the first, being raised in Alaska, we lived 25 miles from the nearest village, which was like 100 people. So there was no ambient light. There was nothing, right? And my dad and we would look at the stars all the time. And I was always into constellations and everything. So we were always looking at them, right? And in Alaska, you could always see satellites, and we could always pick a satellite. They moved in a certain direction. They had a certain speed, and they just went straight across. And we would always see these other lights that are just like what you're talking about, Sam. They would move erratically. They would take off. They would circle around each other and stop and then take off in different directions. And so it was very obvious that there was, at very least, it is unidentified, a flying object. It is not this would have been 25 years ago. So whatever drones can do now, that's not what was going on then, right?
Yeah.
But the closest encounter, which was probably one of the first times I've ever seen my father, I'm not going to say scared, but certainly uneasy about a situation, right?
A little bit terrified.
We were, I was maybe 12, 10 or 12. We're on the riverbank at one of our little camps that we had. And it's like, time to go to bed. And we would always go to the edge of the creek, and we'd brush our teeth. And we'd pee over the creek bank into the creek.
Amen.
And but so I'm brushing my teeth, and I must have gargled or something, some water, and I looked up, and this was late September, so in Alaska it does stay daylight a lot, but in September it gets to be a normal daylight and dark, and the whole sky was lit up with stars. And of course, like the stars are bigger and brighter than anywhere else I've ever been. And I look up, and very close to us, it was, it's hard to determine how far away, but it couldn't have been more than, 80, 100 feet above us at a bit of an angle. There was a perfectly round black circle. And you could almost see that there was like an edge to it, so it had like a saucer shape. And
like a backlight to it, so it's like kind of defined.
Yeah, like
shape.
I could almost the way the angle was, you could almost kind of see the lip of it and it go over. And I'm looking at it, and it's obvious that and I remember being kind of scared, and I elbow my dad, and I said, "What is that?
What the fuck is that?"
And he looks, and he says, well, it's obviously aliens. What the hell you think it is? You know, they just like there's no because it's right there and it's close. Like you know, you could have shot it with a rifle. It was not like a far away light.
Right.
And I said, what are they doing? And he said, well, they must be listening to us. And I said, well, what should we do? He said, I don't know, but I'm going to bed.
He's going to bed. Thanks, Dad.
You know, yeah, man.
Thanks, Dad. Appreciate you.
He didn't want any part of it. And it was like, I could tell that it was like, not nerve-wracking, but, you know, and we've seen a lot of weird stuff. And, you know, creatures and cryptids and but this was like such a powerful alien,
man,
alien meaning unknown, right? Like if you see a Bigfoot or a big mean bear, you think, well, you know, I have a 416 Rigby, like I'm gonna turn it inside out. I'm, you know, but this was like something that you just knew that there was like, what are you gonna do about this?
Yeah,
and, you know, and my dad said, I'm going in the cabin. I'm going to bed. You know, like fuck this noise. And but that was, I just will never forget. And me and him talk about it every once in a while. But like it was just the most obvious.
So what? But how did it move? How did it move?
It was just there, and then you know we ran and hid. Like we basically went and hid.
Of course you did.
I don't know, but never heard a sound. But you could see it, and you could see the edge of it, and you could almost see like streaks. You know, like you could see the panels of whatever material it was made out of, but it was right there. It was right there. You could have shot it with a BB gun. It couldn't have been more than 100 feet, but it was the thing that made it the most memorable to me was that, you know, I could tell my dad was not cool with it. Like it was not cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And that was super profound. And then the you know, nothing really happened or whatever, you know, it was just kind of a non-thing, but it was so obvious and so close. And it was a saucer, you know, and it was right there. And it was,
they're just monkeying with us. They're like I talked to John about.
Scary.
I believe that, sir. And the funny thing is, like I was telling John, they don't live in our time frame. So, I mean, the way they move, I mean, like I was telling John, 100 years could be, you know, 5 minutes to us. Yeah. So it's just, or no, I'm sorry, opposite of that. But what I seen, and I told John about it, that them damn things, whatever they were, it was terrifying, spectacular, and euphoric at the same time. It's because the way it moved. It's not because of what it was. So okay, you see the sphere. And I told John what I seen, it looked like a campfire in the air, like a light pole, different up in the air, probably not 50 yards, 20, 25 yards, 30 yards away. But it just, the way it moved, and then it shot into space. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, Laura, she kept saying to me, what the fuck, Sam? What the fuck? And buddy, I'm with you. Everybody thinks aliens are like spaceships or like, these saucers. They are not. What I seen was fire with a shape in the middle, and it was like fucking with me, man. I don't know what it I have no reason to lie, but go back. Okay, so it was what color was the sphere?
It was like a against the black sky. It was almost like a really dark, like a green, like a metallic green.
Yeah, man.
Not vibrant, but you know, like how OD green is green. You know,
yeah.
And it had a shine to it, you know. And
mine felt like a metallic object that was black. Like essentially like if you were looking at, take off the tail of a helicopter and you got that ball of the helicopter with that, but there were no windows, of course. It was just perfectly black. But it seemed it in my head it was metallic. You know what I mean? Like it felt like an object, like a metal manufactured object, something that was made. You know, it wasn't like a weird, you know what I mean? And that's part of why I kept going back to the helicopter, was kind of like I'm sitting there in my head going, well, if you chop off the rotors and you take the tail off and chop off the landing gear and you kind of smushed it round, you got a helicopter, you know. But then it wouldn't be flying. But then the helicopter wouldn't be flying, you know.
Hey, were you guys scared when you seen it? Were you scared?
No, because I was trying to figure out what it was. I didn't have time. I wasn't scared, you know.
I don't, because Laura kept saying, "Sam, what the f, what the f?" But I was not scared. I was mesmerized. I was like, "What in God's creation?"
Yeah.
And if I could explain this, guys, and I hate to interrupt you guys because I want to hear your stories too. He says he had a sphere. It looked like, okay, so say you have a bonfire at a party, and you pick that bonfire off the ground and put a shape in the middle. And I can't tell if the shape was like a bird shape or a star. And it hung out there, and then it did a maneuver, and then it left. And then the other one came up behind it and kind of hung out for a second, and then it was like, I'm gone too. And Laura goes to me, she's like, I will never talk about this because nobody's ever going to believe it.
Wow.
Dude, I think it's so cool. I was talking to John last night. Now, John, I love you, by the way. Dude, it was so cool what I seen. And I think everybody in this world should see it because I believe that they work on a different timeline than us. They're coming back, man. They're coming back.
Could be, yeah.
What's interesting is what you're describing and a little bit what Locke's describing, more so to what Sam's describing, is what people are describing now, separate of just the drones they've been seeing. People have been reportedly seeing these orbs or sphere orbs, and they zoom in, and it does look like a ball of light energy, lots of different colors, and then within that, you know, some squares or triangles moving around and stuff. But, you know, you can blame a little bit of that on, you know, whatever technologies our phone can pick up when they zoom in so much. The lens is going to flare and distort things a little bit, but it is very interesting because that's a similar thing that people are kind of seeing now, even with their bare eyes and not their evidence, right?
Let me interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
I've got somebody who just called me that is super important, like an elderly relative. I need to keep going on. So we'll do this again soon.
See you later, Lack.
Here's Lack.
But anyway, Sam, awesome to meet you, my friend. Awesome to meet you.
Yes, sir. Yes,
I've heard a lot of cool shit about you from John, so that's awesome to finally.
Thank you, man. John's a good man. Nice to meet you too, man.
All right, I'll see you guys on down the trail. All right, I appreciate you.
Yes, sir, man. Can't wait.
Later, Lack.
We're almost going to be done anyways. I didn't want to go much more than 2 hours, so I was hoping to keep it under 2. But this has been such a great conversation. It's hard to stop.
John, I'm not even done yet. Damn it! So when are we talking again?
We'll have future episodes. That's why we'll be back. Yeah.
I can't wait to talk again
about this stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to say again real quick. It was Salzburg Village, Palmyra, New York. And that was the birthplace of Joseph Smith, the Mormon culture. And I like I was telling John last night, and I'm just going to try to say this as fast as I can. It looked like fire in the sky, and it had a shape in the middle. For people not to believe that there is not another realm of things out there, you are out of your mind. I think, as I told John, it's just a matter of time. And I think their time frame is so different than ours that they're going to be back, but I mean, we'll all be dead probably. And John, I hopefully
I think we're going to know
see the lizard skin underneath.
I think we're going to know one way or the other. I think we're going to know one way or the other within our lifetime. And like Nick is saying here, he's heard people say by the end of 2025 we're going to know. I mean, we almost already know because the hearing they had on December 13th, the congresswoman actually said to the witnesses, there was what was it? There was Luis Elizondo, who was one of the guys they were asking. And he's the guy that worked for the Pentagon, collecting the information for the Pentagon on UAP. Then they had a guy from NASA there, an actual person who worked at NASA. And then they had a journalist that had been collecting stories from whistleblowers. And they had one of those Navy guys there. And She asked all four of them point blank, are these things alien from another planet? You can watch the hearing yourself live. It was live when it played. I watched it live, but I've watched it a number of times since just to get all the stuff down and understand all the questions. And each and every two of them said, I'm not prepared to say that yet. I don't want to say aliens, but that is a direct possibility. It's one of the things these could be. But the other two people on the panel said, yes, 100%. They are not from Earth. They are from another planet.
Like I told John last night.
So essentially, what that means is that you actually had people in Congress admit that the things we're seeing in the sky are from another planet.
Yeah, and John, like I told you last night, I don't want them to torture us. That's the only thing. Other than that, I find it fascinating. Come on down and listen. But just don't torture us.
I don't know what else. I don't know what else disclosure people are looking for. It's like that right there was you had a congressperson, someone in Congress saying, so these
the highest point of government. The highest point of government. Right.
Does it now, do you really need like the president to say it? Like, is that going to get you on board? Like how much more do you need?
Well,
that was
during
someone
that one moment during those hearings, the one congresswoman asked one of the military leaders, Air Force or whatever, do you think this was something from made on Earth by an enemy or otherwise? And he said, "There's no way possible."
Hell, no way possible.
It was of
no
this
way
Earth.
possible.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
And they said to the Navy pilot of the jet, they said, if you had to engage this thing and shoot it down, do you think you could have? And he said, no way.
No way. No way. I could catch it.
He was like, these things are beyond anything we have the capability of, and it would have destroyed us with a blink of an eye.
John, not only for gravity, so a human being couldn't be in that thing. Yeah. But I mean, we can't, we have no possible, we don't have technology to make something move that fast. We just don't.
Yeah.
We just don't. And hey, man, John, what a great discussion. You have great friends. I love you guys. Sorry if I look a little tired. I am. What I seen.
Lens flare.
What I seen. I hope you guys get to see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
It was, dude. It was amazing, man. It was.
I do want to see one land on TV, and I want to see aliens walk out of the ship. That's what I do want to see.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do it. I don't think we're going to be alive, John. I don't think we're going to be alive. I don't.
I'd have no problem going further into detail at another time, but John and I had done an episode of my podcast one time, and I had told him how my cousins and I had seen the stars, quote unquote, doing almost like exercises,
dancing,
at the edge of space. So I've definitely seen a couple things.
What do you think they want? What do you think they want? They want mineral?
I think they want to go home and they can't. I think they want to go home and they can't.
They want all of our.
Oh man, that's amazing, man! I can't wait for the.
We could blow your mind with the pyramids being the fueling station, and the network has been broken and they can't go back.
Oh my God, how beautiful is life, man? And you know the funny thing is, you got all these assholes walking into Walmart. I want to buy some dumb shit. It's like, dude, you have no idea what's out there, and they don't think about it. But what I've seen, my friends, and I'm very happy to meet y'all. Very insecure about myself, so I try not to look at the camera. But you guys are all awesome. John,
lovely eyes.
Oh, thanks, John. I love you.
Yeah. Well, hey,
John, I love you. No, you're supposed to say I love you back, John.
I love you too, Sam.
Yeah, okay.
Appreciate you, Sam. Thank you, buddy.
I love you guys.
Good to meet you, bro.
It's been a great episode, and we're going to have to revisit all of these subjects in a full length thing that spend one whole time on just
you could go on so many rabbit holes just on one topic.
Whether it be here on this fucking stupid goddamn thing we're talking on, excuse me, Lord, or we meet and sit down and talk. What I seen is real. I don't know what the fuck it was. It scared me to death, or mesmerized me. But they're coming back. But I don't, and necessarily I don't know if we're gonna be here when they come back. It didn't have bad content. It seriously.
Yeah.
I felt peaceful. I did, and I mean that.
Yeah.
So, dude, hey, let's not end the discussion. I love you. I think Bigfoot's out there too, and if I will whoop his ass. I'm gonna seriously UFC fucking fight his fucking ass. I'll be like, dude, come on. You got boobs,
cool,
dude.
Bigfoot. This is what we call. This is beer. Here's your first beer. Here's your first beer. Give you the leg of a deer. He's like, here's a deer leg.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Before we go, I meant to play this at the beginning, but I'll play it now, and then we'll end the stream. Thanks a lot for coming, guys. Everyone be sure to follow Rick and Brett. Sam, are you on Instagram or anything? Are you anywhere people can follow?
I think I have Instagram. I forgot my password. I'm on Facebook, but John, I'm gonna come to you for answers because I forget, and I will come to you.
And check out Lack from earlier. Here's our little disclaimer, and then we'll be out of here. Thanks a lot for everybody in the chat. Appreciate you guys watching.
Cheers, everybody.
This was supposed to be at the beginning, but I forgot to play it.
All right.
Cheers.
The ideas and opinions of any one individual on this program does not necessarily reflect the ideas or opinions of the whole. We recognize that some of the topics discussed on this program may be controversial. Please be respectful of others both on the panel and to our viewers in the chat.
Live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual.